Hello, everyone. Welcome to the lunch talk of Big Cloud Data. Today, we are going to talk how we're going to create your own portfolio project for, I'm sorry, I think I need to make it more specific for data engineer, okay? So for data science and machine learning engineer, maybe it's a little bit different, but it's in a similar way. Okay, so we are going to mainly talk about the data engineer portfolio project. Okay, so yesterday we talked about how we're going to start to study self-study of data engineer skill. Okay, so for today we continue with the topic of yesterday. So the first question is that why do we need the portfolio projects? Okay, so usually this is because we need them to prove that we know data engineer and we have finished the several projects and we can show our achievement to the hiring manager and the hiring team that we are capable to finish their tasks, right? So that's why we need the portfolio project, because we don't have enough real work experience. So we need portfolio project to prove our work experience. Okay, so first, since we are going to put our portfolio projects in your resume, we need to know why portfolio projects are so important in resume. Okay, so let's talk about hiring manager. Okay, so the hiring process. So each day there is for a hiring manager there is like a dozen or hundreds of incoming resume every day. So for the hiring manager, their workload to review the resume is pretty high. So in order to make this review more efficient, the hiring manager will go through resume very quickly. Okay, so as a hiring manager, they will check your, first of all, when they get your resume, they will check the keywords. Let's say I'm a hiring manager. In my team, we are in our platform, we are using AWS, we are using PySpark, and so on. So I will go through your resume quickly to see if you have the relevant experience. If you don't, okay, sorry, next one. Okay, so let's say for this example, so I will check, say I'm using AWS. Okay, AWS. Okay, AWS. Okay, so I see many keywords, fit or position. Then I will check what's your what's your project experience. Okay, so I will read conduct customer assessment, you deliver weekly presentation. Oh, no, I don't care about this. And automate workflow, perform data transformation, big data from CSV to Parquet. So I'm interested in this one. So actually, this portfolio projects, when you put them in your resume, it will give as many as keywords the hiring manager would like to know. Okay, but maybe you will ask, who knows the hiring manager require what type of experience? Because different companies have a different technology. So what's their requirement? So that's why you need to cover most of the area so that you can meet most of their experience. That's why we need to do portfolio project. Okay, and talk about what type of projects we are going to do for data engineer. So first of all, think about data structure. So yesterday we mentioned that in a company, so the data engineer skill or the technology, mainly including data warehouse, data lake, data streaming. Okay, so especially for data warehouse and data lake, I mean, actually it's big data, right? So for data warehouse and big data will cover, I would say, 9S the jobs in this. So at least we need to know, we need to have one data warehouse portfolio project, one data lake, big data project. Okay, and if you are capable to finish one data streaming project, and talk about the cloud platform. As you can see, some companies they require AWS, some companies they require Azure. Okay, so try to, if you can, of course, if you have limited time, first let's finish your project on AWS first. But if you have some Azure experience, you can finish your Azure project first. Okay, and also with some other open source tools, let's say Airbyte for data ingestion, for the DBT is for data ETL and data modeling. You can finish some projects for this. Okay, so generally speaking, you need to finish at least one data warehouse, one data lake. If you have more time, you can finish data streaming. So two big projects, portfolio projects, two platform plus some open sources tools. Okay, talk about data. So where can we find data? So the data usually, there is a lot of data sources. Okay, so let's say for me, I would suggest we can find data from Kaggle. Okay, because I think it's a very famous website. I think most of you know this, right? In Kaggle, there is different type of data. They from for retail, for supply chain, for finance. So different type of data. So you can pick up the data you need for your project. Okay, and also there is some sample data. Let's say MySQL. Okay, so MySQL have a sample database. They have a couple of sample database. Their database, the quality and their business scenario is pretty good. So you can use the MySQL or Postgres, whatever, the database sample data. Okay, you can use this data to build your own project. Okay, so how are we going to build a project? So we can, in order to give you an example, we can take a look at the or self-learn platform. Okay, so let's say first of all, for data warehouse project. Okay, so let's take a look at our data warehouse project. Okay, so let me make it bigger. So you can see in all data warehouse projects, first of all, your project should be end-to-end, right? So to from data ingestion to build a data warehouse, build a data model, and then output your data to, and then visualize your data in a BI tool. Okay, so which means in order to finish this project, you must know some tools for data ingestion. Let's say Airbyte is open source data ingestion software. Lambda, AWS Lambda is used for AWS, and Snowflake's data warehouse used for stored data and to build data model in this data warehouse. and also DBT used to orchestrate the entire data modeling process, including the ETL process, including the the data modeling process, and including the version control function. Okay, and then it's unnecessary to be Metabase. You can use Power BI or Tableau. And for the data warehouse, it's unnecessary to use Snowflake. But I would say Snowflake is very popular right now. But you can use other data warehouse, let's say Redshift, and or even use some online, RDS, Postgres. Sometimes Postgres can use as also use as a data warehouse. Okay, and yeah, so let's talk about see the structure. So we have two data sources. One data source is on online and RDS. RDS is AWS service to contain different type of databases. Okay, so we have one data source. It's similar. It's just like so we are simulate a scenario that so we are a company. Our company, we have some transaction, right? So we are let's say e-commerce company. Okay, we are having a transaction. We have transaction database. Every day, the new entry was recorded into the transaction database. Okay, and then we also have other have three buckets. It actually is we call that actually it is the data lake. Okay, so we have some files from other system, and they dump their files into this data lake. So we have two data sources: the data from our transaction system, data from other system, and dump into the file. So our idea is that we ingest the data, the necessary data from our transaction database every day, right, with Airbytes, and also we give this AWS Lambda script, and the script will run when some new data dump into this data lake. Okay, so when this raw data was ingested every day, they will store in the data warehouse. Okay, in the data warehouse, this is the first layer to store the raw data, and then we are going to build a data model and use ETL process to transform the raw data into the data structure we want. I mean, actually, it's new tables, right? The new table we want, and store in the data warehouse. Okay, and for the business departments or BI team, they will ingest data from this data warehouse and ingest that into your Power BI. Okay, this one is very typical and classic structure for many companies who use data warehouse. Okay, so it's unnecessary to be you must use Airbytes, and unnecessary must use Lambda, but you must have some way to ingest data from some data source and put them into a data warehouse and display them in a BI tool. Okay, so this is a typical pipeline for data warehouse. Okay, so this is for data warehouse. The second one, we can take a look at big data. Okay, so you remember that the first one we are using AWS, right? So all the tools were built on AWS, let's say AWS Lambda and so on. And for the second one, the big data project, okay? So we are going to use Azure, Microsoft Azure, okay? So since we are using Microsoft Azure, our main, playground will be Azure Data Factory. Okay, so we also have two data sources. It's similar to the first one. We have some data from RDS. Okay, it's kind of like transaction data. Okay, so in this project, we try to simulate that we are a company. Okay, so in this company, we have a website. Our website is similar to let's say Reddit or some text-based website. Okay, so people can make comments there. Okay, so people we are mimicking a Stack Overflow the data. Okay, so people ingest data. First of all, we have stored some data on RDS. It's our transaction system. Okay, we ingest data from transaction system, and also we store some data on Azure Blob storage. It's similar to the S3 bucket. This data lake. This is data lake. Okay, so for the data, because we are going to use Azure, so mostly we will based on the Azure services. We ingest data into, first of all, into the data lake we are going to have for the future. Okay, future steps. We are going to ingest the data, use data factory, ingest data into the data lake, and this is the raw files. Okay, and in the raw files, because the data size is pretty big, instead of use data warehouse, we are going to use big data. Okay, based on Databricks. Okay, on Databricks, we are going to first of all to manipulate data, to transform data. Okay, and then use machine learning to forecast data. Of course, we need to forecast we need to train the forecaster model first. Okay, also in Databricks. Of course, it's unnecessary to be machine learning, right? So if you don't know machine learning, it's unnecessary to use this. You just need to ingest data to do some data manipulation and build some new file which you want to see some analysis. Okay, so ingest data, store data, transform data, and then store data to a data lake output folder. So this is input folder, right? This is output folder. And when the data was input output folder, we use Synapse. Okay, Synapse is also a Azure services for BI, mainly for BI team. Ingest the data into Synapse, and Synapse will show reports here as end of the last step. Of course, and unnecessary to be Synapse. You can use Power BI, you can use Tableau, you can use Click, whatever the BI tool you can use. Okay, but you definitely use Azure Data Factory, right? Azure Data Factory, I would say, is very important tool for data engineer who are going to work in Azure platform. That's, I will say, this will be the first tool you need to know in in Azure. Okay. The second thing, it will be Azure Blob storage. Okay. So you need to use this very well. Okay. So after this two projects, the first project data warehouse, the second project is Azure big data. So after these two projects, you will have a good explanation about your project experience. And for the third one, I can show you something. For the data streaming, I can show you something here. Okay. I'm sorry, this is not data streaming. This is data streaming. Okay, so let's say for data streaming. Okay, so you're going to have some LT data, right? So usually data streaming either come from some market events, or some financial data, let's say store data, store market data, or some IoT data, right? So you get IoT data, you read API, okay, and that use NiFi. Of course, you can use other tools to ingest data. Here is in our program, we use NiFi and store. IoT data is kind of like a pipe water, right? So you must store them in some place. So we store them into a MySQL database, or you can store them into other databases, whatever. Okay, then you use Kafka to do CDC, to ingest data and do streaming. Use Hudi. This is Lakehouse, and then show them in the superset. Okay, so definitely you will use Spark Streaming, which is PySpark Streaming, to process data, and you will use Kafka or Kinesis from AWS to populate data into this data lake house, and populate them into the final BI tool. So this is a demo of data streaming, but usually it's unnecessary to have a data streaming project, because most of the company, they don't require data streaming. Usually only the software company, they have some data streaming tasks, but for most company it's unnecessary to have data streaming, because data streaming is pretty expensive. So if they don't have the important business requirements, they don't care about data streaming. Okay, but if you have more time, of course, you need to store them in data streaming. And then I would say, after this, your projects, definitely you need to sync your data, all your code into GitHub. Okay, just like this resume, you need to sync. First of all, sync your data sync your data from your local to GitHub to a repo, and you can show your repo in your resume. Or if you don't want to show your resume, your portfolio here, you can show your link to the hiring manager during the interview. Right? But definitely you have to store them in a Git repo, and give a very good detailed explanation how you finished this project. Okay, because sometimes some hiring manager, they will check your link and try to understand what's your idea about how to finish this project. Okay, so all this is about brief introduction about how we're going to create our own Profolio project. Okay, because the time limitation, I won't answer personal questions, but you are welcome to subscribe or we Cloud Data Academy YouTube channel, and leave your comments and questions under our video, and we will try to answer your questions and comments one by one. Okay, and thanks for your time, and hope you have a good afternoon. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.